All right, now that we have a complete routing capabilities, we need to verify that everything's configured correctly or everything is working. So there's different show commands that we can do. And we'll do it from the middle router, the second router right here. So let's go ahead and get this router. And let's make sure our window is set up correctly. Hit enter a couple times. Let's go into what? Global configuration. Enable config T. And we're going to be using the do command. I want you to get accustomed to using the do command because in the real world, you'll be using the do a lot because you don't want to get in and out of an interface. So the first one would be do show start. And you see that I abbreviate show with SH. Do show start. And what does do show start do for us? Well, it shows you the entire configuration that's copied to NVRAM, non-volatile memory. And then you can hit enter or space as you go down. You can see there are interfaces that are configured, the IP address, the subnet mask, right? We have the interface, the IP address, the clock rate, IP addresses again. We have the routing protocol that we have configured. We have the static routes that we're configured. So why we want to look at this? We want to look at this to make sure we have the right subnet mask, we have the right IPs, the right administrative distance for the static routes. So there's many things. You look at the entire configuration of the router. So show start it's a pretty good troubleshooting command, but on a live production router, be careful when using the show start command because if it's a huge router, an enterprise router, it could be a lot of lines. You may not want to do a show start. So the other one that we can do is do show IP int brief. So what this shows you, and I'll open this up a little bit to the left here, is showing you that your fast Ethernet, that's the IP address that you have on there, that the line is up and the protocol is up. And that's what you want to see. Up, up. That's a good sign. Now, we haven't configured this interface, so that's why you see unassigned. And you can see that by default, it says administratively down, down. That means that you never turned on the router. The next one is the serial 000, which is the 10119. Again, you're verifying that the IP address is correct. And we want to see that up, up. That's a good thing. Makes us happy. The serial 001, 10116, that should be the IP address. And then again, up, up. Another one that I like even more than this one is the protocols one. It's do show protocols. If you do that, it's kind of cool because you hit enter a couple of times you can see all the interfaces. And what this does is pretty much like the show IP in brief, but it's actually giving you not only that the line is up, but the protocol is up as well. It not only gives you the IP address, but it also gives you the mask. So you can see everything in one place, sort of like a one-stop shop. You're seeing the mask, the IP address, and then the protocol is up, up. That's good. So the show protocols command, or do show protocols, if you're within something other than privilege mode, you can see everything to make sure everything is up, up. The next command is show controllers. This is somewhat rarely shown. Do show controllers. Because what it's showing you, and I really have to scroll up for this, a lot of hardware information. And I'm going to hit space because I'm going to be hitting space forever. All right. It's just really giving you a lot of hardware information. If needed be that somebody may request a particular parameter, then you would do that. But normally, I'm just going to do a Control-C to get out of that. So show controllers is something you can do if somebody asks you a specific question about some hardware-related stuff on the router. Now, we do have RIP running. So you can do a do show IP RIP. Oh, incomplete command, sorry. Lying. Okay, so maybe not. So the best way, I guess, in this particular iOS that we're using in the simulator, the best thing to do is do a show start, and you can take a look at what's going on with the router. All right, we're going to hit space. You don't have to hit more. We just do a page at a time. And there's your RIP, and you know that it's working right. Now, what I'm about to show you now is not a show command. It's a debug command because these protocols are talking behind the scenes. Okay, I'm going to do a Control-C. I'm going to actually exit out so I don't do one anymore. And I'm going to do debug IP RIP. If I do that, it's going to show me what this protocol is doing behind the scenes. I'm going to hit enter. And what happened is the following. RIP has timers. RIP every 30 seconds sends the entire routing table out on his updates. So eventually, you'll start seeing all this stuff come up. And this is the multicast address right there that RIP uses in order to send information. But it's every 30 seconds. So you can actually tweak these timers if you wanted to. You can't do it within router configuration. But this is a very good command. Let's say somebody forgot to type RIP version 2 and they just type router RIP. Well, RIP version 2 is not going to accept any updates from RIP version 1. And you'll be able to see it in the debug IP RIP. Now, in order to stop this, I'm going to do a Control-C. I'm just going to do no debug. And that interrupts my typing, IP RIP. And that's fine. Just keep typing. As long as you keep typing, you'll be fine. Now, there are commands that you can do to stop the interruption of your typing, which is called the login synchronous command. And you can do that in your line con 0. And I can show you real quick, even though I was just trying to show you commands. This is not that difficult. Line con 0. And you can do login tab synchronous. And what that does is when you actually type and you start getting feedback from the router, that will not interrupt your typing, which is cool. So that's something you may want to do as you're doing your configurations and you go into your lines. You may want to configure the login synchronous. If you're doing it through SSH, you want to configure that as well. All right. But those show commands are really important. And I'm going to put a place note right in here. And I'm going to put show start. I'm going to put show IP int brief, show protocols, show controllers, show IP RIP. Again, depending on your iOS version, show IP RIP. And then, even though it's not a show command, I like to put it in here anyway because it's a very handy tool. So you can see what's happening. So these are troubleshooting commands. That you would use. You want to go ahead and actually have this. Let me get my selector tool back. Forgive me. You do want to have these troubleshooting commands in your arsenal because these are the main ones you're going to be looking at to see what's going on. Definitely one of the things that I didn't put in there that we did use was show IP route to look at your routing table as well. But again, these troubleshooting commands, besides ping and trace routes and all these other commands that are, we can type a million commands in here, but these are one of the main ones. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and type the other one in there just for you. Show IP, and we put it in small case. Show IP routes. And that will show you the routing table. So these are good commands to keep under your belt. So when you are configuring and you want to verify that everything is correct, these are some of the few troubleshooting commands or verification commands, if you will, that you can use.